Hey,
everybody.
hey, y'all. We are back. My name is Nakia Franklin,
And I'm Von Greta
and welcome to this episode of The Real,
and Raw Talk Show.
where there are no boundaries.
And no judgments.
All right, y'all. You know, we got to get down with it real quick. Okay. So, this is our 5-minute pre show intro. Today, our guest is Houston Police Department Chief of Police, Troy Spinner. Oh my God. It has been almost a year. We have on this show, right? Oh, but see,
There's something to be said about persistence, tenacity, and for him, a man of your word and woman.
Absolutely, and plenty of integrity. So we are so excited to talk to Chief Finner tonight, who is responsible for the fourth largest city in the United States. He is responsible for over 5,300 classified sworn personnel and 1,200 civilian staff support. Now, Chief Finner is both committed and dedicated to relational policing, wherein each contact with a citizen is an opportunity to improve relationships and a means by which to build trust. You know, that TRUST word is so critical, y'all. He leads from the front line during major events, civil unrest, and protests, and he embraces the use of technology and data-driven analysis with the reduction of crime. It's all about the reduction. Chief Finner is especially committed to youth mentoring programs that aid in bridging the gaps in trust and communication with the police. Committed to a strong community policing program. Now, he has a proven record of bringing unity within the community, balanced with leading operational improvements and initiatives, which has enhanced the departmental productivity and reduced costs. He was born in the 5th Ward area of Houston, Texas, y'all. Raised in Hiram Clark, a Madison High School graduate and the holder of a Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice from Sam Houston University and a Master's of Criminology from the University of Houston Clear Lake. All local, baby. Chief Spinner has begun a law enforcement career in 1990. He has served the citizens of Houston at the Office of Public Affairs, Southwest Division, South Gessner Division, and the International Internal Investigation Command. Y'all, this dude is lit, right?
And you say qualified.
Okay, overqualified, baby. Assistant Chief of South Patrol Command, which encompasses all of South Houston, management oversight of field support operations. Y'all, we can go on and on and on. And I'm not even going to go through all that. I just want to indicate also that, you know, he is truly a faith-driven individual. He is widely known as a welcome and long-standing presence as a peace officer at St. John's United Methodist Church downtown on Crawford and Gray, Houston, Texas. So I just want y'all to know Pastor Rudy and Juanita Rasmus of St. John's had him as a protective officer, an officer who protected them during their tenure at the church before he became chief. That is where I met Chief Finner, and that is how long I've been knowing him, way back in 92 when I started.
And of course, Juanita was on our show last year.
Absolutely, right? You see how the world turns? Okay, so I can truly, honestly attest to his ethical behavior, his relationship with people, his ability to communicate and create relationships and do all of these amazing things. And he is committed to engaging with the population, with the people, you know, homeowners, the homeless, those of wealth and stature, not only pastors, but of the congregation and everyone. And I just want to say this final thing. Even though he was not chief at the time and he is chief now, his character has remained consistent. He has maintained a level of professionalism, genuineness, authenticity, and a commitment to treating people right as a constant in his life as to who has been being amongst us all. Now, today, I'm pleased to call him Chief of the Houston Police Department. It is our hopes and desires that his disposition towards the community and his role as an officer who enforces the law continues to be consistent as he leads this city.
You better say that. This city, Houston, y'all. You go, girl. Wow, what a legacy. Oh, my goodness. Okay. And just in case you didn't know. Okay. So, guys, I'm so excited. Thank you, sis, so much for so eloquently always preparing our audience to know who we'll be speaking to on our show. And I am so geeked up to tell you guys that Dray Tate, he is also a he's a solo artist, but he's also a member of the gospel legends, the Williams brothers, and they are on tour right now. So COVID led up, so these guys are on tour. He promised to let me know when he was going to be in the city, so we'll let you guys know that as well. Dray Tate, I had the pleasure of being on a horse and carriage ride with him with some other folks. It wasn't us dating. I don't want to put that out there. We were just cool, and then they had some kind of little song come on, and it was a duet, and so we were singing it together. And I was like, "Hey, I sang with Dray Tate."
Y'all know she can sing.
So he'll tell you a little bit more about his offering, his musical offering, a little later in the show. Now it's time to get real and raw. Don't sing now. I got something to tell y'all about that in the after party show. Anyway, we want to hear from you, and so does Chief Troy Finner. So you guys, if you're joining us on Facebook, please go to www.streamyard.com/Facebook to grant Facebook permission to see your comments on our StreamYard. Because we want to hear from you. We want to see from you. If you're watching in LinkedIn or YouTube, you're square. So stick around. Post questions, post comments, engage with your chief of police. Share, start your own watch party, because it's time, you guys, now for us to enter into, Nakia, the No Judgment Zone.
All right.
Okay, way up into the high register, girl.
Huh? What?
That's what you just sounded like. Oh. Move on.
Oh my God. Okay, so y'all, it is time to engage with Houston Chief of Police, Troy Finner. So you will hear us engaging with Mr. Troy, and we're so excited to have him on. And we just
How are you?
Excited, as everyone knows. We've been trying to get you on here for almost a year now.
I'm here.
Huh?
I'm here.
And you're here. So we're excited about that. Okay, so we're going to deep dive into the conversation, and I'm going to get the audience to be able to engage and have relatedness with you. And then we're going to go ahead and proceed to the next section. And Von Greta will have an amazing conversation with you. We're
yes,
going to keep going.
And don't think we're being disrespectful. Chief Finner has allowed us to address him as Troy.
Exactly.
The name God called him.
Right? Okay. So, okay, so we, as you may have heard in the pre-show, we already shared a lot about what you do professionally and who you are professionally. We want to know who you are for yourself. Like, who do you know yourself to be beyond anything that I've already talked about, right?
Yeah, look, thank you. And let me say, first of all, I'm honored to be with you beautiful ladies tonight and the audience. And I apologize because we rescheduled, I know at least twice, and you guys were patient with me. So I just want to say thank you. But who am I? One thing about being a police chief, it's very, very short lived. Okay. So I
Mhm.
think you should have that identity. And who I am, I'm just a person. I'm very simple. I'm just an individual that wants to help other people.
Yeah.
And I think that is the best thing and the most simplistic statement that I can make about myself. I simply get up in the morning and you seek people to help. And at this role, at this capacity, I just thank God because I'm on a platform where no matter what's going on, you can honestly help people. And I thank God for that. So that's who I am, a father, a family man, but someone who deeply cares about the police department and also my community.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. So I know it's been extremely challenging since you have taken office, right? Um, and it takes something, it takes a strong display of character, of integrity and self control
Mhm.
and poise in light of all the violence, the police ambushes that have been going on in the past year, the assaults on family members, friends, children, threats on, whether it's law enforcement and community members, next door neighbors fighting, all kinds of things that's going on in the world that we didn't deal with 20 years ago, 30 years ago,
Right.
50 years ago. We dealt with a lot of stuff in different capacities, but not in the way we're dealing with it now. So, transparently, people are just have no fear, have no filters, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to like check in with you on how you're doing day to day outside of being the chief and knowing your fellow peers in blue are dealing with a season of attacks against them. And we're going to talk about the people, but I do have the question about that.
Look, it's just like we're not in society by ourselves as police officers. So the same thing other people are facing. Um, there's never been a pandemic like this before, this COVID thing,
Right.
criminologists and psychologists, they're going to be studying this for years. What makes people do what they're doing right now? Who knows? But it's very sad. The just the value of life and respect for one another. Some ways and with a lot of people, it's faded. I know that the pandemic brought about extra stressors,
Hmm.
people losing their job, you've been isolated more domestic violence. But who could ever predict the amount of violence? Look at just simple road rage. You're driving down the street and you know what? You blow at somebody and they shoot at you. Who could
Right.
predict that?
Right. Absolutely. So, how are you personally dealing with this experience? Because I'm sure it takes a toll on you. Is there someone that you talk to? Is it a
Yeah.
way that you
First
relieve
of all, thanks for asking that, and I want to, and especially talking to our people, and I'm talking about people of color. We don't. When I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was young adult, you know, it was looked at like weakness when you reach out to get some counseling from a psychiatrist or some type of counselor. Um, that's a strength. And let me say, we have a robust psych services with our department. Dr. Tate heads it up, and I get my checkups, and I encourage everybody to get their checkups, even when you think things are going okay. This is a stressful job, so I want myself and the officers get in their checkups, but also look at what you're eating, look at your exercise. Or are you exercising? Are you not exercising? You gotta bring it and take care of yourself while you're going through all of this extra stress. You have to.
Absolutely. How's your family and your children supportive of you in, being a chief?
Yeah.
Troy,
It,
how do you
look,
handle the home
it,
experience?
it's tough on the family because I'm pulled away from the family, but they understand. They understand. All my kids are grown except my 11-year-old, and he's a special young man. I love him to death. I love all my kids, but they all understand. There are some perks that comes with this, but there's a hell of a lot of sacrifices, and we try to get through it together. But there is if I'm not saying that there's a strain on the family, I'm not being truthful. There is, but we have to remain faithful and just hanging there together.
That's awesome. That is important. And a lot of people need to hear that because, you know, um, behind that badge, you bleed just like anyone else. You're no different from me, Von Greta, or any of our audience members. Anybody who views this program now or years to come, we all bleed. We're all human beings. We have emotions, we have feelings, we have situations that we have to deal with on the field,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., our jobs, and off the field. And it takes strength and tenacity to keep pushing through that. Um, so, what can we all expect of you as the chief of the Houston Police Department? What would you like the citizens to understand and know about you as the chief of your communities?
Well, one thing, and first and foremost, you're gonna get the truth from me. Uh, you know, out front and just honest. If something is going right, I'm gonna say it. If something's going wrong, I'm gonna say it as well. I'm gonna hold people accountable, but that starts with myself. Um, I'm gonna bring as much as I can, bring that community and the police officers together, and it's very challenging. Another challenge is a fractured criminal justice system as a whole. I'm going to do
Right,
everything I can to be respectful to everyone in it, bringing us together because the state that we're in right now, it has to be some sense of unity, even with the community and each and every community, not just the affluent communities or not just the communities who are experiencing a lot of crime, every community. People have to be honest. You have to let people know that, look, you matter to me. I value your life experiences. I value how you perceive things. And, and,
right.
and I think when we do that, we can really build bridges and solve a lot of problems, crime and other quality of life issues as well.
I agree with that. So, what do you need from the community to support your vision for a workable and unified relationship that builds togetherness instead of creating division?
Look, I need people to speak the truth. You There's been a lot of things, even of late, the last couple of weeks. Okay, and I don't want to speak to any specifics because I want to be
Yeah.
respectful.
Hmm.
But everybody's watched the news, and if your family member does something, he or she is wrong, just say it. And especially when it's on body worn camera on somewhere on video, all of us make mistakes. And when there is something so tragic as a death resulting from an officer involved shooting or whatever that situation is, please be honest. Deal with your pain, be respectful, and let's be honest. And that's all that I can ask, and the most that I can ask. And then don't paint us with a broad brush. Just as I tell the officers, do not paint the community with a broad brush. Most people in the community are good people. There's a small percentage that are really bad and violent in
Hmm.
whatever community you are. The police department is the same way. And we have to tell the truth. And in our fight in crime, get involved. You don't have to get on the front line and risk your life, but If you see something, say something. If there's a crime that was committed, don't sit back on your butt and don't get involved, because when you do that, guess what's going to happen? Tomorrow, it's going to be your family.
Absolutely. I really appreciate your candidness. And if people have seen you on the news and in society and just know you in general, they would know this is simply who you are. And the way you're engaging and sharing now is exactly the way you are off camera, right?
Yes.
And Troy, I wanted to ask you this one question, and then we're going to transition on, right? To those audience members now and later that are listening and engaging, what do you want them to remember or know about you by the end of this episode?
Hey, look, I'm just an average guy, born in Fifth Ward, raised in Hiram Clark, attended Madison High School. God gave me an opportunity. I worked very hard. He rewarded me, but I am simply here to make things better with our community, with our police department. And like I said at the beginning of this show, I just want to help people. And if no matter what you're going through in life, if you just get up in the morning and say, I don't care how good or how bad my day is, I'm going to reach back and grab somebody who's less fortunate or going through a difficult time and help them. And it's just simple with me. It's just basic. That's the way my mother and my father raised me. And I lost my mom last year, and that was my heart. Everybody that knows me knows that, but I'm going to honor her, way that she taught me unconditional love. And I think that is just the greatest thing about anybody. If you know how to love, and through that love, there is the understanding that you have to forgive, and people going to let you down. But don't be bitter, just tell them, go through it, and keep trying to help and make it a better place, a better world, a better city. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And on that note, I want to just really acknowledge you for being transparent and being so authentic on this episode. And we look forward to more of this conversation with Troy and Von Greta in the next segment. Sis?
Thank you, Nikki and Nicole. So, thank you very much. Okay, so you guys, still running along our path of support our new home programs, and that's the owner is Corey and Millie Kamadiner. And I always like to say this, I've known them for a very long time, going on about 13 years now, and they have always been supportive. And I'm just so proud of them. They have 2 children now. They are expanding. They're in different states. So if you are looking for a home, if you ever thought you wanted to own a home, trust me, you'll be in great hands with these people. Take a look.
HomePrograms.com is a real estate company that provides 11 unique programs for buyers and sellers of all kinds.
We have a solution for all the problems that people face when buying or selling real estate.
I think it just makes the process easier knowing that you have people that are specialized in the programs and you don't have to do it yourself.
Most programs can be combined, but it's based on qualifying factors.
We found out that they have programs that help with down payments, that help with closing costs, and all the different things that we knew would be difficult for us.
Our first realtor, we never met. There was a lot of unanswered questions. The deal fell through. So we reached out to them, and within 2 weeks we were back at closing because everything was already still checked off. They informed us on programs like the MCC rate and told us that it was a $2,000 tax credit, and just informed us on opportunities that we could take advantage of that had not we chose to go through them, we would have never known about.
I feel safe. I love the neighborhood. I feel like it was a great fit for our family.
I like the idea of having our own place and being able to do whatever we want with it, where you're very limited with an apartment.
We will guide you through the entire process because we are realtors and we will find that home for you.
Contact us today for a free, confidential consultation so that we can listen to what you have to say.
Oh man. So that was New Home Programs with Corey and Millie Cameron and the rest of their staff. Awesome, awesome folks. Okay, let's move right along. Troy, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So I was going to, I want to piggyback on the key, and thank you so much for being transparent. We really appreciate that, and I know everyone listening does as well. I was going to ask you some things about what do you think there pose as challenges, as far as what we face as a community and how to, in consideration of building relationships with the city officials. But you talked about it. You said if we have unity, that would help. Am I right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now let me ask you this.
Right now.
Well, when you said unity, I want to know, how do you think we can go about achieving that? And you mentioned building bridges. How can we achieve the unity? How can we build the bridges? What do you need from us?
Well, first of all, let me start with police and our profession. We have to first admit our dirty, dark history when it comes to dealing with people of color, way back from the beginning of American policing. We have to admit on that, okay? And you take it to modern day, people are still being mistreated. There are some unjustified shootings, and some of them were downright criminal. But at the same time, that's such a small number. We have 800,000 police officers in our nation, 18,000 police departments, okay? So when things happen, let's put it in perspective. But the most important thing, the very most important thing, whatever side you're on, people just don't understand the power of respecting and appreciating where a person is in their thoughts. How do you perceive something? Your perception is your reality. My perception is my reality. And it's when we give value to it. You don't have to agree, but you give value and you try to understand where that person or where that group is coming from, and you sit down and you have honest conversations. That's where you get somewhere. But if you're going to tell me as a black man how I feel, or I'm going to tell Keish as a Caucasian man how you feel and how you should feel without giving some value to the life experiences and your perception, tell me where you're going to get it. And that's policing, and that's anywhere. And that's the challenge, because, human beings, you always want to be right. It's always your way. That's not the way it is. Just because you believe or you feel something. And let me not leave this out, because this is a huge problem, and people don't want it. You don't hear me talk about politics a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. Because there are two crazy extremes right now. The far crazy right and the far crazy left, okay? And when you're there and you're stuck in that, you have problems. And you're not going to solve any problems when it comes to policing and bringing people together, or even if it's politics trying to bring people together. Those are the things that we really have to be true on. And as a police chief, if someone does something wrong, a police officer, and they violate somebody's right and kill or hurt somebody, I got to hold them accountable. I got to speak the truth. The same thing in the community. And we all have to understand, look, at the end of the day, there's a small percentage of people who cause problems. So don't let the negative noise, people, police officers, divide the good police officers from the good people, because when there's noise for everybody, how do you identify the bad criminals in the neighborhood? How do you identify the bad police officers if good people are arguing and fighting with good people?
That's true.
Absolutely. That's good.
Well, the Bible speaks about that. When you argue with a fool, you become one. So you just cut it short. Okay. So in going along in this conversation, so you talked about the community showing up and not paying attention to the noise. Now, if you were, say, a community member, which we know you are. I mean, and not just chief, because we know you're more than a chief. What would you be thinking about? What would be your need from your chief? What would you want from your chief of police if you weren't the chief and you were a community member?
I would want my chief, first of all, to let me know that I matter. Okay.
Okay.
No matter what neighborhood I was in, what color, how much money my parents made or did make, I want to be treated. I want to be treated with respect. I want people to know that I'm here. And you know what? Hold people accountable. And again, be honest with me. This is the problem. I thank God I'm from the neighborhood, because I know. Let me tell you something, what people devalue and underestimate. The intelligence of people who are from the neighborhood.
That's true.
We didn't come up with a whole lot of money, okay? And a lot of political clout or power. We had our name and our word. And when you come in and you disingenuous, right off the bat, they can read you. All you have to do is come in and be respectful and be honest.
Yep.
And you're gonna get somewhere, a positive. You're gonna solve some problems, okay? That's where that de-escalation piece come in. Acknowledge people, give them a respect, try to be patient with them when you can. Now, Chief, I know there's a lot of danger out there right now, okay? And we understand that. So I'm not talking about officers, you jeopardize or you compromise your officer safety. No,
Right, that's
I'm not
good.
talking about that.
Right.
No, because sometimes you roll up on the scene and somebody's shooting or fighting on you. As soon as you get out your car, you have to defend yourself. So I understand that. But most instances, if you just roll in, acknowledge people, be respectful, be courteous. I don't care what neighborhood you're in. Most of the time, they're going to get that respect back to you.
That's right. Now, you talked about road rage earlier as well. Why do you believe, as chief, we're seeing this increase of road rage, incidents of people drawing guns, people being shot, and lives taking over, people changing lanes, driving slow, just all the craziness? It can't be just a COVID, because this kind of thing was happening before, right? And could you also address on robberies?
Not to the numbers that we're seeing it right now.
So you do believe that this is a result of COVID and everything that's been going on completely?
I think it is, but there's some other variables, okay?
Okay.
When you put all these guns in young people's hands, okay? Let me tell you something. The permitless carry, I don't get into politics, but do you think it helped us? Everybody knew about the backlog that all major cities had, and Houston is the number one city with backlog, because when Hurricane Harvey hit us, it tore down our criminal justice complex, okay? So we were a year and a half ahead of everybody. So where some cities have 20,000 cases, backed up court cases, we had a high point of 160,000, okay? Yeah. So you got a lot of people who committed a lot of violent crimes, but have yet went through the court process to be labeled and rightfully charged and convicted as a felon. So you got all these felons out there, but hadn't went to court.
Right.
So they can legally pack weapons. Okay? That's just not
that
right.
has to be really overwhelming to deal with every day.
It's crazy. So
how do y'all manage?
Part of it. Too many guns in the wrong hands. So, but it is what it is. We don't choose what we have to go through or what happens, but we can choose how we react to it. And that's what I want to position our police officers to do. And that's what I do every day. And most of them do a great job. And I'm very proud about it. We are dealing with an unfair deck right now. There's too many violent criminals out here, and they're being released on bail. A lot of people don't want to talk about the bail bonding industry, but they got to get at the table too. Since we've been kids, it was always 10%. 10% cash money. Okay, that's changed to 1% and 2% sometimes. That's just unacceptable. So a lot of people pointing fingers at the judges and the DAs and the police. but they're getting left out of the equation. So that's not fair. Everybody needs to sit down. And when I say everybody, every person or every entity that touches the criminal justice system in some kind of way, we need to sit down and make sure we are focusing in on the very most violent offenders, what I call the trigger pullers.
Right.
Hey, it's a place for violent people, and it's called jail. Now, I do not advocate low-level, non-violent people who suffering from mental illness or dependency. We need to really help those individuals.
Right.
Convert them out of the criminal justice system, get them into a health system where they can really get some training and some counseling and some treatment. So if we did that as a whole and concentrate on the very violent, our roads would be safer. You would see less road rage. Now, there is a thing that people have been pent up and really frustrated. That's a part of it because, you know, some people are shooting and they normally wouldn't do that. So that's something that I really cannot.
That's a difference.
Right now, it's a difference. Yeah.
So Troy, when you said everybody's coming to the table, what kind of forums or what things do you have in position that can bring everybody to the table?
Well, you know, I've tried and I've had some success, not the success that I want, but I'm one person, okay? So everybody has to remove your personal beliefs, your political beliefs and affiliations, because politics divide right now.
Right.
And that is the biggest thing that's going on right now. And it doesn't matter if it's right, left, or whatever, okay? Come to the middle a little bit. Let's negotiate. Let's have some common sense. And let's do what's best for public safety, okay? Because here's the deal. I'm a guy that's been through a lot of stuff in my family. So just because I'm police chief, that doesn't mean that I hadn't lost family members to violence. I don't talk about it a lot, but I lost both of my nephews to gun violence. My oldest sister's son and my oldest brother's son. One in 2012 and the other one I think was 2017, 18. Okay. So I'm not far removed from that pain. So I know what it's like. But I hate to say it, some people, because they hadn't gone through it, they don't have an appreciation for it, and they're just naive to it.
Right.
I can make any law and do anything, and it's not going to affect me because it hadn't hit on my doorsteps. But if we don't come together, it's going to hit on more doorsteps.
That's good. I appreciate the transparency and the real talk that you're giving us right now. This real conversation, and I apologize, sis, but I don't want to step
No, you're fine.
There's so many people that really need to hear your truth and your version of what you see, your reality, and being that you have actually experienced a lot of these things, people can then understand, okay, you know what? Troy has a different perspective. You talked about perspective, and everything that we're dealing with in life surrounds perspective. Everything that we're engaging with surrounds perspective, and our ability to work together or our inability to work together, remain in ignorance and stay divided. And it's
but I think that's what he meant what you're saying when he talked about, you know, the whole understanding, how not just understanding, but not only understanding, respecting what they're saying. So coming to the middle gives you the opportunity to be understood from all parties. When you have the ability to do that, then you can get some understanding, and then you can make a plan to be. I think that is what makes any organization thrive. And if the organization is family, friends, or city.
Right, that's in your home. That's outside of your home. That's in your community. What Troy, what you're talking about is stuff that we as everyday people need to pay attention to, and just step outside of our selfishness and our egos and our blinders, and just acknowledge, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This is who I am, and this is why I am keeping the process from moving forward and working right. And maybe if I put that on the back burner, and I come forward and sit at the table with Troy, and I sit at the table with Von, I sit at the table with whomever, then we can
And we sit
actually
at the table with you.
and we can be heard, we can be acknowledged,
Mhm.
and we can be present to the conversation, and we won't be you won't be shut down before any word come out of your mouth. And I'm gonna shut up right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it back to you, sis, because
No, I mean, no, you're fine. You're fine. It's a good conversation. Look, everybody, let me tell y'all. Okay, first of all, let's take a break from the seriousness and smile for a second. So Nakia and Troy know each other because they serve. We had a good little laugh about that because you remember her from the church, right?
Absolutely.
And Nakia, this is her wheelhouse. Just so everybody knows, the woman has degrees in criminal justice, and her business, social integration, is just in this whole wheelhouse. So she gets really excited. So I'm not stopping you. I told you, you got to see me in my element on Sunday. I'm watching you in your element today, girl. Don't apologize. Please stop apologizing. Just don't do it, because she's like trying to jump in while we're double dutching.
Yeah, I'm like just holding back. So go ahead, sis, go ahead and proceed, because I'm gonna have to.
I know that there's something Nakia really wants to pull out, and so I'm just gonna dive right in it. We both have children. We're mothers. My daughter suffered some extreme violence, and there's no justice being done for it. And we care, and there are parents going around worried about their kids. And I don't know, do you find that parents are better as community members to get involved with, as opposed to others? Do you think so?
Absolutely. I think we need everybody, but definitely if you're a parent and you have suffered from the act of violence, or your kid, definitely step up and help others. But there's a lot of anger out there right now too, and rightfully so, because the justice system is moving so slowly because of backlog. Can you imagine? And there's a lot of people out there lost a kid, somebody killed your kid, or sexually assaulted, God forbid, your kid. And this incident happened 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And we still hadn't got that person to court. That is just so tough on a family, and it rips you from inside out. So I understand that, but I have so much respect for people who have went through the toughest time. And I don't think it's anything more difficult than losing a child. Natural, but you're losing a child to a violent death. And it's so amazing when I talk to those mothers and some fathers, and they're reaching out and they're helping others. And then they're reaching out to the police department and saying, hey, look, this is what I went through, and this is what y'all could do better. That's a great thing. So, I do believe and not only in just crime, but parents, supportive parents. Look at the schools. Those schools that's best are the schools that have the parental support. When we were coming up, you couldn't disrespect the teacher.
No.
Coach, you get your butt whipped at school, and then mom and dad, both of them get you when you get home. So
that's capital punishment number one.
Yeah. Anytime you have that support from parents, it just makes a better community. But the police department got to reach out to them as well. We need more programs to where we're meeting those parents where they are, because it's much more difficult right now. It really is.
Well, Troy, what would you say to the parents then that have youth that are choosing to participate in criminal activities, leading them to a life of crime and perhaps prison?
It's tough, because you look at the makeup of the families, like a lot of single mothers, and look, I'm not here to put them down. We're the men. I'm a man, and I'm talking to brothers of color right now. We got to step up. We got to take our rightful role, and I don't mean to single out just brothers. Any man, it's really easy to just lay down and make a kid, but a true man is there for those kids and,
Right.
and assisting and raising them. Even if you and mom are not together, take care of your responsibility. But it's hats off to all those single parent women that's out here working 2 jobs or working a full-time job and trying to do the best that they can do. But we as society, we got to bring back a lot of our programs, our youth programs, and make sure that we are assisting wherever we can. Those support systems have to be there. If you're a parent that's working 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, I mean, she's going to need a little bit of help, a lot of help.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that, Troy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That
That definitely needed to be.
Oh, my
I mean, and the leader said it. So listen. Thank you very much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. I mean, it is, I know we're going to move on to our guest, our artist today, but it is so important for the kids to have somewhere to go and something to do that's positive. A lot of times they just don't even have any, tell them you too can achieve, and give them something to want to lose, you know? And then I'm just going to go into education. And then, you know, you ISDs and you schools are taking out extracurricular activities, calling them ancillary, but understand these kids are coming to school so they can participate in these things. And that makes them want to make good grades. So you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, educators. Get these people, get the music back in there, because it makes them critical thinkers, the arts, the sciences. Come on. Do better. Okay, I'm off my tangent. I'm done. Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. I just can't stand that. That's why I need to
go down a rabbit hole, but I'll bring her back.
I'm not a teacher now. And they're teaching these kids. I'm just teaching them to read and analyze, and told them they could put earphones on so they can listen to their favorite music to think. And this heifer walked in and told them to take their earphones out. It's against school policy. And gangsters was doing work. That's stupid. Everybody, I have a wonderful artist for you tonight. His name is Dray Tate. He hails from the gospel legends, the Williams brothers. And he is going to tell you about his wonderful performance. Oh, get ready with a voice.
Hello, Real and Raw family. My name is Dray Tate. And what you're about to see right now is video that I've done in 2020 at George Floyd's homegoing service. And it's called A Change Is Gonna Come. It's a song that's near and dear to my heart, written by the late, great Sam Cooke. If you want to reach out to me, you can always reach out to me at draytatemusic@gmail.com. And my Facebook page is Dray Tate Music. And Dray Tate, my Instagram page is dray.tate. Y'all be blessed.
You changed the world, yes you did. It will never be the same. I was born by the river in a little town. Oh, just like a river I've been running. Been a long time coming, but I know change will come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, yeah, but I'm not afraid to die, because I know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Now listen. But then I go to my brother, and I say, brother, help me free. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Oh, there were times when I thought that I wouldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I know a change gonna come. Yes it will. I believe that a change is gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Said I know a change is coming. Yeah. Said I know a change gonna come. Yes it will. Yeah. God bless you, Florida.
That was just.
Y'all, I can see you guys, but you can't see yourselves when that's going, and you both do. We were all kind of doing this at the same time. Oh gosh! Hey, you guys. For the two questions, there are two questions that Nakia is going to allow the people to ask you at a certain time, just to let you know. And I wanted to say that out loud so they know that I'm not ignoring them. Over to you, gorgeous.
All right, honey. So, Troy, man, the time seems like it's moving so slow this time. Normally, our time feels like it's just rushing through, but it's still almost 10 o'clock. And this has been completely enjoyable and so real and raw, right? The conversation, and I know we've asked a lot of questions, and normally it's more of a conversational flow, but you gave us so much food. You gave us so much meat. You gave us so much information that we can marinate on. And I pray that people don't take this episode for granted. People take this information and share it all over the world, all over the city. Share it to different communities. Share it to your family and friends, because this is your chief. This is Troy Finner. This is the man right here who you don't get to touch and you don't get to see face to face all the time. He is constantly working and moving. There's so many moving pieces to being an officer of any law enforcement community, and to be the chief and have to be responsible for so much at one time. Let's start honoring one another and respecting each other and seeing each other as who we are as human beings and engaging with each other as such. This man, Troy, has given us a call to action. He has given us so many calls to action. He has told us what he needs, and he has shared with you what he's trying to do, where he's trying to give it back to you, to make sure that we're bringing this home and we're changing the photo, we're changing the picture, we're changing everything. And it's not just change, because change is so temporary. So I really hate using that word. My word is always about transformation, because we don't want something to happen and then we go back, we divert back, we forget. We don't want it to be momentarily. We want it to be indefinitely. So his transparency, we can't speak on that enough. Troy, I would like for you to share with us what caused you to arrive to the point that of trust and faith within the community? And what had you become a law enforcement officer? And then Vaughn is going to ask you the questions from the audience members.
All right. Look, I think it started with upbringing. I owe so much to mom and dad, and not only mom and dad, my community of support, teachers, preachers, coaches. Everybody had a spirit of them, and I don't say I'm a religious brother, but I'm deeply spiritual. And if you're deeply spiritual, you don't have to say much. Okay, I don't do a whole lot of talking. I do a lot of love and a lot of observing, because how can you help people when you're not listening to them? And that's something that I didn't say, but that's through love and trust and being transparent. It ain't a whole lot of talk. It's a lot of action, a lot of active listening. Hear people. Get to the point where you can feel their spirit. And if you can feel their spirit, and this is not just individuals, it's entire communities, and it's so powerful. And I thank God for this gift. He allows me to walk in honest with people and open and transparent, and you feel their spirit. And when you do that, you can take them where they need to go and assist them in ways that you couldn't. And it's hard to explain, but it's kind of simplistic, but it's real. And one thing I would never be, I'm never going to be a fake person. I'm going to tell you what's on my mind as respectfully as I can. I'm not a pushover. And that's something that we didn't discuss.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
Don't
tell them right now. Don't tell them you're not a pushover.
Please don't. Don't take my kindness for weakness, because
don't do it.
I will stand up, and it don't take me much to stand up. But that's me, and that's what I give, and that's what I expect from people. If we just could not be so pretentious, and let me say it, fake.
There you go.
Really aggravates me and frustrates. And I don't care whatever you in. Don't come around me with that fake stuff. Be real and be about the business of helping and loving people. And I think I know that we'll have a better city. And that's how I'm with the police officers. That's how I am with the community. And that's not going to change with me. It's not.
Awesome.
Vaughn,
you ask
yes, my dear.
Can you ask the question?
Absolutely. I'm going to post it right on out here. This is going to be a tough question, but why is it that there is a big protest when criminal that happens, a person of color has a bad run-in with the police, but the same level of protest isn't there for a black-on-black violent crime? I'm not sure if I said this correctly.
I'm following it. Yeah. So, look, let me try to break it down to you this way. We do have to do something about black on black crime, okay? Because it happens more often than, those incidents where a police officer violates. But let me tell you the difference, okay? Police officers have so much authority and so much power by law. We took the oath of office to protect, preserve, and protect, okay? So that is the difference. There's a higher level of expectation. So when a police officer does something, it has the ability to just tear down years and years of positive things. It can rip a community apart. So that's where I think, and then don't forget about that dirty history that I talked about.
Mm-hmm.
We can't forget about that, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to beat officers over the head with it, because I want them to know, do the right thing, regardless of what color you are. And I want to quickly say this, okay? There are so many Caucasian officers that work our communities for 20 years, 30 years, 35 years, and retire, never shot anybody, never violated anybody's rights. So let's keep things in perspective, okay? So, but I hope that answers it. There's a higher level of trust and expectations when you're talking about a police officer. We took that oath to protect and serve. a everyday citizen didn't. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think you touched on, thank you very much for answering that question from Perry. And so, Joelle, you touched on this, though. Do you think the absence of parents' discipline the way our generation had, I assume Joel must be, much older than me, is part reason of a lack of empathy in young people today?
Hey, my mom is gone, and I used to joke with her all the time. I love her, and I'm so glad what my mother and father did in the way of discipline, okay? But that was then, and this is not. I told my mom, I said, hey, to put you under the jail. You know what you did to us. But you have to have discipline. And the thing of it is, there's different types of discipline, but what parents and these new age parents, a lot of them, don't be the friend, okay? Be parent. Be parent. Okay, you got to hold kids accountable, and sometimes that means punishing their butt, and sometimes that means putting something on their butt. Okay, because if you start early, bringing them up in the right way, more love than discipline. Okay, but there is a place for discipline in everybody's life, and really, even the worst kids, they want discipline. They want to be loved, and they want discipline. So
that's very true.
It is true.
Yeah.
That's true. They love you when they know you're being firm.
Yeah.
Troy, thank you so much for answering Joelle and Perry. You guys, you're joining us right now. Just know that we'll have the after the show after party starting at 10:15 with the Slappy Payne. You're joining on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. You just refresh, go back to the pages. The link is already up, and I'm turning it over to Nakia.
All right, y'all. It's time for me to close it out, shut it down, bring it home, make it real, make it raw, keep it right, move on, right? So, give me a call to action, and I'm gonna say Chief Finner. Give me a call to action that you would like the community to take before you leave.
Hey, look, it's real simple, okay? Not nothing. It's just, hey, we need ordinary people to do extraordinary things, okay? And that is, you are fortunate if you are walking around with food and a place to stay, and most importantly, a sound mind and a sound body. So if that's you, help somebody, help someone in any way that you can. And people don't understand when you do that, it reduces crime. It builds up community. Now, when you're looking at, because I am the police chief, again, when you see crime or you hear about somebody victimizing another person, have the courage to step up and make the darn call. Let's get them off the streets together, okay? Let's love people, but let's all focus in on those very few individuals on the inside of a police department as well as in the community. Let's pull together and let's deal with those individuals. Real simple.
Thank you.
Amen.
How can the community engage with you and or obtain information and resources? What is some contact information that people go through in order to address their concerns or get help or anything?
We have a robust community affairs division, but I want to do it. A lot of people pass this level up, and it's so important. We have 14 patrol divisions in the city of Houston. It's so important that where you live and where you work, you have a close relationship with those commanders, those lieutenants, those sergeants, those officers on a patrol level, because that's who you mostly dealing with. That's who mostly in your community. So reach out to them. We have a positive interaction program, meetings that we have each month.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're dealing with COVID right now, but normally we have them each month at each substation. And then we have them at the union, one citywide every month. So get involved in that, but just get in conversation with police officers where you live and where you work.
Awesome. And I've been to the Southeast office with Commander Carolita Johnson
Mm-hmm.
and Mr.
Fabulous
Jackson.
leader. Yeah.
Yes, I've been over there
Yeah.
to the Tuesday night meetings,
Good.
community meetings, and
Good.
it's very eye opening.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so very much, and I just want to acknowledge Mr. Troy Finner, aka Chief Troy Finner, and I just want y'all to know that by no means would we ever disrespect the chief of police and not acknowledge him for who he is and the badge that he wears and the title that he holds and the position that he carries. And in our pre-show conversation, he requested that we call him Troy. But he wants
Wow.
the people to relate to him and know that he's a human being beyond the badge, right? But we also want people, when you see him, definitely respect him, acknowledge him as the chief of police, because this is who he is. He earned that right. He earned that
There you
title. He
go.
earned that position. He earned everything that he has been blessed in order to receive and partake in. And we don't ever want to disrespect him, dishonor him, or belittle him, or put him at a level that he's lesser than. He's equal to us. Don't get me wrong, because we're all human beings. However, he's earned the respect and the position in which he holds. And we want to definitely honor you, Chief Troy Finner, and have everyone else acknowledge you and honor you in the same respect and regard.
There you
It
go.
has truly been a pleasure. It has truly been an honor to get you on this episode number 29 after a year and
You
5
don't keep saying that.
we can't
You
stop.
said earlier, I'm here.
Right.
Dang.
It's always grace and space. And we took those previous episodes and we honored Officer Williams, the fallen officer.
Yep.
We honored, you at the
On the other one.
that, because we didn't want to just throw somebody in the space and say, hey, this is on who we have, because we need people to understand that things happen, life happens. And when we give our word to something, and when we say we're going to have someone on, unless that person just falls out of off the face of the earth, that's the only time we won't be on our word, keeping it real. But anyway, we want to leave you all with this. Everyone has a part to play in communication and in community. Everyone has a stake in the game. If you, for any reason at all, feel like you don't matter, your voice does not matter, your actions does not matter, your decisions, what you see, what you say does not matter, I beg of you to consider that is not the right perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I ask that each of us make a difference. I don't care how small it may seem to you, how minute it may seem to you. Everyone matters. Everyone makes a difference, regardless of the skin tone of our regardless of our skin tone, the color of our hair, the texture of our hair, the way we look, the fullness of our lips, our hips, or anything else.
Come on.
We all have to step in the role, and can't expect the chief of police, any law enforcement officer, or anyone else in any position or capacity to just step in and save the world, to make all the difference, and we don't do our part. We are each responsible. We are each to be held accountable. We are each responsible for playing our role. And we're not asking anybody to do anything that they don't have the strength, the courage, or the right to do. If you need help, ask for help. If there's something going on, speak up. If you know someone who has not made the best decision, seek help for them and seek help for yourself. Chief said it early on in the episode. He talks to someone. He reaches out to a mental health psychiatrist, therapist, so he can have support, because life still goes on for him. So we keep in mind the humanness. And we thank you so very much for sharing with us, for being present, and for watching this episode. We ask that you continue to share it, post it, replay it, and contribute. We honor you, Chief Troy Finner, and we thank you so very much. You have an amazing night.
My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on the Real and Raw Talk Show. My name is Nakia Franklin.
And I'm Von Greta.
Good night.
And that's Troy.
But there's no judgment and no boundaries. Let's go,
Don't
y'all.
forget the after show, after party. Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Real and Raw Talk Show with Nakia Franklin and Von Greta. Remember to like and follow us on all social media platforms. A special thanks to our guests, sponsors, and audience members. We are grateful for your support of our programming. If you would like to become a guest or sponsor one of our shows, please email us at info.realrawtalkshow@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. This has been a Von Greta Studios production where we are creating without limits in association with Social Integration, specializing in socially integrated programs and services. The views and opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Real and Raw Talk Show with Nakia Franklin and Von Greta. Any content provided are opinions and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, anyone, or anything. Stay connected and join us for our next conversation on first and third Monday of every month, where there are no boundaries and no judgments.